Hi guys, welcome to Garden on a Hill, where we talk about easy home gardening. My name is Vin, and in this channel I talk about things that made my life easy in the garden. Thank you for joining me today, and I'm trying to play catch up on the spring that's coming by so quick. It almost feels like summer in some days when we're hitting 80s. This video today is all about Bok Choy. I'm starting a late season of Bok Choy. It's now April 1 here at Zone 7B, and as you know, we have days that it's about 50 degrees in the morning, or sometimes it's lower, and then in the afternoon it gets about to 80s. This year I'm trying to play catch up, so I want to monitor the bok choys closely. I'm actually going to plant them here closer to the basement door that I come from every time I garden, so it's proximate. But the problem is, on that past video, which I'm going to link here, those are my 5 tips on how to grow spring grown bok choy. That is a partial shade location, and I've been successful with that in spring here at Zone 7B. But this one is a full sun location, and I'm doing 2 experiments. One is direct sown, the other one is a transplant. Both of them started in March 11 direct sown and March 11 as transplants. But let's go ahead and take a look at this. I think I'm still pretty successful right now. I just planted them all last night, and let's see how it's going, and then let's see what the methods are that I'm using, and hopefully it works this year. So come on, let's go ahead and look at it. So here we are at my front yard garden. This is the bed that I planted bok choy already. And for those of you who are full-time employees, you have a full-time job, you want to garden on the side, and things that you want to learn that are easy for it, this is the channel for you. If you have some time today, please click the subscribe button, hit that bell button, so anytime I upload something new, you get notified. Anyway, back to here. So as you can see, we are full sun this year. I typically plant my bok choys in the back that is part shade, and it's also going to be late this year. I typically plant February in my indoor seed starter, and now it's already April 1. I started the direct sown side right here on this area March 11. So for that side, what I did was basically dug 3 furrows about 1 inch deep using my the trowel, and then just grab some very tiny bok choy seeds and drop them one by one. Don't worry about the spacing for now, because you're going to thin them out later. And then that's how I did it. An additional layer to this experiment to see which is the best bok choy type to plant is at the very front is a different bok choy, a baby bok choy. The one in the middle is Shanghai Pak Choi, which is the one that I usually use, that's more heat tolerant. And the very back is the tall bok choy, so kind of similar to the baby bok choy. It's just a taller bok choy, about this size. So those 3 represent those 3 kinds, and they're all direct sown March 11. On this side, this was an area for the transplant, so the same thing, 3 different kinds of bok choy, same as that, so I can play which is better. The only difference is, of course, I started this for individual sales in the seed starter, in my indoor seed starter setup. So that is kind of how this setup is going. I think I'm going to be successful just because I did grow cabbages here last time. I'm going to put early Jersey Wakefield cabbage videos here, and it grew. So if I can grow cabbages here that late, definitely I can grow that here in spring. If you are interested for this video, let me show you how I did this so you can also do this. Now if you are in Florida or below, of course Hawaii, you're probably not going to be the best time to plant this at this point, because it's going to be too hot in your area. I'm in Zone 7B in Georgia, so anyone above me, above Georgia, the Carolinas and beyond, may still be able to do this. So I start my seeds using my Burpee seed starter. It's the 32 cell that I use for this one, just because of the amount that I need. You can use something like a 16 or an 8, depending on how many do you want to start. And then this is what I fill with my potting mix. I'm going to put a link on how I start all my vegetables right here, and then also a link for the Burpee seed starter, so you know what to do when I start my seeds. Just look at that video, it's very detailed. I start my seeds, put it in my potting mix, make sure it's pre-moistened, it's damp, and then I put soil in every single seed tray. And then I'll use a tweezer or something like a stick to put at least a 1-inch deep hole in it. And then I take my bok choy seeds and put about 5 seeds per hole, and then just put it back in, and then kind of just water it. I just want to show you how the bok choy seeds are. They are super tiny. Hopefully this focuses. They are super tiny, so you know you may need about 5 when you pick one pinch out of it, and then you put it in there. And then after a few days, probably 3 days, with your indoor seed starter, when you have a heat mat and it stays a constant temperature of 80 degrees Fahrenheit, they will come out. And then after they come out in 3 days, I will put a link on how to harden cool season vegetables in the spring here in Zone 7B. You can also do this for zones higher. You're just going to have a later date. But basically, hardening is taking your seedlings out from the seed starter because they are so used to the environment there. They are so used to the light in there. They're not used to the sun. You have to take them for about, I think it's only 3 days to harden them. It's not really hard. If you're coming to work, you know, before you leave, just put them outside. And then when you get home, just put them inside. Only 3 days. Bok choys are very cold hardy and easy, so you really don't need to be worried about hardening them. And then anyway, after that, you're going to have to thin this when they come up. And let's look at the video on how we do it. So I just want to show you how I thin the bok choy seedlings. I've already thinned these rows. You see there's only one left out of a clump like this. So what I do, I love these little scissors. Look at them. I have so much control instead of a bigger scissor. But anyway, this has about 5 in it in the group. So what I would do is I'll just choose the one that has the best true leaf. In my case, I think it's this one right here. This has a big true leaf in the middle, and then I'll cut everything else. And then cut, and then cut. So that is it. And that's how you thin it. And this will allow the actual bok choy to grow faster. My direct sow bed, and I thin this a little differently. I don't even use the clippers because once you plant these, you plant them in rows, so you actually scatter the seeds that way, and they will come up as a line. And I'm just going to thin them by pulling them out. As you can see right here, there are still some bok choys coming out, so I'll just pull them out. And they typically would come in a row because you come in with a row of seeds. But 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches, that's how I start with my thinning. I just want to quickly show you what the difference is between bok choys that were planted at the same time. To the left is direct sown, to the right is for transplants, started at seed starters. You can definitely see these are much further along, but I don't know if they're going to catch up to these transplants later on. But on the early stages, they are definitely much bigger. So 4 days later, I am about to plant the transplant bok choys further down on that bed. This is the direct sown ones, but I just noticed something very different. Look at the transplants that I'm about to put in. This was the baby bok choy last time from that last video, and this was bigger than this. But 4 days later, let me see, and pop one. Oh, that looks so good. I love this thing when you just pop things out. Super nice roots right in here. But look at it. This is now actually smaller, much smaller than the in-ground one. Look at them. I'm going to put it on top real quick. Give me 1 second. Look at the difference. Look how that in-ground one is now much bigger than the transplant. So keep in mind, it looks like the in-ground will catch up with the transplants. But let me do a transplant and see a couple more days how they fare. So I'm going to go ahead and plant these transplants. Remember, at the very front, these are 3 different types of bok choy. Very front is baby bok choy, Shanghai bok choy, and then tall bok choy. So those are 3 different rows, all direct seeded. These are my transplants. Let's go ahead and plant these. As you can see, I just dug 3 furrows or trenches They're about the same, pretty much, depth as the seed transplants. And I'm going to just go ahead and put them there and then pull the soil back and cover it. Nothing special. This soil is already good. If you are having some issues with your soil, it doesn't hurt to put a little blood meal in there for a little boost of nitrogen. Okay, let's go ahead and plant these. So that is the video for today. Hopefully this experiment works. Again, Bok Choy late in the spring, in full sun. I haven't done this before. 3 different kinds. Hopefully we get a harvest for the 3 of them and they don't bolt or flower in the spring and we still have good leaves to eat and they don't wilt. Hopefully you've learned something here. Experiment. Make sure you try something new, have something fun in your garden, and then you learn from these experiments. You learn how to do this, and probably if this is more productive next year, I'll just do baby bok choy right here. I know what kind to plant in this area, and also it gives you the ability to just have fun with it. Gardening is about having fun and making sure whatever works for you and things that make your life easy in the garden. So again, on the next episode, we'll probably do a part 2 of this. Hopefully we have a harvest, and I'm really hoping we have a harvest and they don't wilt. So see you next episode, and I will keep you posted on what happens here. Happy gardening!